So what we are going to look at is introduction to anthropology. Today, you just imagine whatever I'm saying. This is not part of the syllabus. So, but you have to know all these things in order to understand the syllabus. Okay, well? So this is an introduction. So I hope you know my name. So I have to, this is me, and I've the first time I think I'm saying this because my college students are also there. First time, see, I usually tell that I wrote 8 mains and things like that. I usually forget that I studied in engineering college, but this is a very important degree that I took. This is electronics and communication. This was B, so electronics and communication. Then I have written this 8 mains. So in that 6 kind of interview, so anthro was one of the options. So I had other options also. Initially, I had psychology, geography, public administration. Then it did not work out. Then I took anthropology. So by that only I went into interviews. Okay, so we'll look at the important details of what we are going to see. Okay, and your introduction as in the class goes, I'll get to know each of you. Yeah. So my first question. So anthro. What is life? See, I have one more thing. The answer I'll tell. He has given the answer at the end of his book. I'll tell the meaning. But Anna, what scientists say as to the meaning of life is that, see, it needs to sustain itself. See, and in the board, I write a little bit with shorthand. So if you are not understanding, please tell me. Yeah, that is, it needs to sustain. Today is about I making you understand what we are going to see as a syllabus, as Big Bang Theory. Other 28 seconds will take 1 hour. So we'll finish it. Then at the end, you will know what is our syllabus. See, first it has to sustain itself. This cannot sustain itself. Medically, that's what scientists say. This cannot sustain on its own. Second is that it has to protect itself. Third is that it has to propagate itself. Propagate now, next generation it has to leave. See, this will not leave a next generation. No, this is end. Maybe if we recycle, it will go into a next generation. But otherwise, if you see, living beings, they can do all these things. That's what is the meaning of this whole evolution. And that's what will be life. And we'll see one by one. So now you see this here. Okay. And so what happens is that, so first, nothing was there. Upanishad, Upanishad, this an ancient Indian text related to philosophy around some 800 BC or something like that. See, I'm going to use words like BC, billion years, million years. So you're not following, please tell me. Yeah. So Upanishad is one of Indian philosophy. Okay. In that it is given that nothing was there. Nothing was there. Quantum physics, Schrodinger says nothing was there. From that nothing came everything. That is, quantum physics says this. That is, from nothing. It was nothing. This is space. I'm saying nothing was there. Then there was a Big Bang. Okay. So this is the Big Bang, or this was the start. You know what? How many years before this came? How many years? Any idea? 4.5. Yeah. Sure. Big Bang. Big Bang theory. Okay? So 14.5 something. Okay. Billion years. Billion. Okay. 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 years. Yeah. This 14 billion years ago, this is what James Webb Telescope or something, they have launched it, right? They look at the sky to discover all these things only. The ancient galaxies, what happened, how we came. The most important question that we will have in our life is that why we came, second, how we came. Without this curiosity, there is, you take away these two curiosities, humans will be like, same kind of a non-living object. 14.5 billion years later, what happened was, Large Hadron Collider, and this is science subject, so Anala, please follow. If you are not following, please tell me. Large Hadron Collider, have you seen something in the news? Or Higgs boson, people would talk about many things. Large Hadron Collider is in Europe. Do you know what they are searching for? God particles. What they are searching for? And online, please, if it is not audible, do tell me. Yeah. What they are searching for? Where does energy come from? Where does material come from? I said, it came from nothing. So the fundamental particles I have to see. And the fundamental particles are quarks, they are saying. This quarks is a very complicated thing. You don't have to go. This quarks became, or they joined together to form what is called as this you would have heard, electron, then proton, then neutron. If you see proton, neutron, electron, they are not the fundamental particles. Within that, there are fundamental particles. Last bit of particle is there. What gives those particle masses is called as boson. Yeah? We did not go to physics. We leave that. But what I'm saying is that before this, scientists do not understand or they say that there was nothing. But from this, all these fundamental particles come. Along with these fundamental particles came fundamental forces. We have 4 important forces in this world. Universal law. Anywhere you go, this is the law. This physics law will not go wrong in anywhere. The fundamental forces, see, there are nuclear forces. I'm not going to talk about that. The force which I am concerned about is gravity. And this I have explained in geography class as well, because this is actually geography. But anthropology is overlain with geography. So I have to explain geography, then only you will understand how evolution happened. But yeah, this gravity happened. Because of this gravity, what happened is that everything coalesced into one or a group of things. So what happens if I put everything together, these fundamental particles, into all these things, abdina, proton, everything. See, fundamental particles, I'm putting it inside. What will happen because of gravity? So gravity is pulling you inside. You have all these fundamental particles. They will start clashing with each other. What will happen after that? So two things you clash. What will happen? Heat, friction. Yeah. Because of this heat, okay, because of this heat, elements started forming. That is, all the elements that you see, that I said, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, whatever you see, anything which you see as an element was formed in these stars. And the stars, how they are formed now, because when you make them come closer, you'll start having a reaction called as fusion. Fission is different. Fission is breaking. This is what happens in stars. This time they asked about the supernova and dwarf stars. What happens in a star is that these fundamental particles fuse. They don't fission. They fuse and give the highest amount of energy. Sun fusion is happening. That's why we are able to survive. Without that, we are gone. But now, you think about it, all these, and there are so many reactions. I'm not going to other chemistry. All these elements, hydrogen, helium, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, iron, nickel, cobalt, whatever you name it, not the most heaviest, that formed later, but these elements are formed in these stars. This is the point that you have been asked as a question. So these stars, when they coalesce and form into either, what will happen is that, see, and the fusion material will lose out. So this will at one point lose out. Do you agree? How much material is there? Sun is fusing, we are getting energy. What happens when there is no fuel in the sun? What will happen? It will not generate energy. And what happens is that's when you have the supernova, they will say. They explode. And it throws everything into the universe. It throws everything which is composed here into the universe. Now you see this. See, if I throw everything into this universe, what happens after some time is that over 4.5 billion years. This is where you say there are, I do not know whether you know this, there are how many stars in our solar system? Sun is a star. How many stars approximately? Approximately, the number, trillion, something like that. There is 100 billion stars. 100 billion stars as sun is there. Sun is one star. We are there because of the sun. Yeah? This is 100 billion in the solar galaxy. Correct? Do you know how many galaxies are there in the universe? There are 100 billion galaxies. So you multiply it, that many stars are there. That many stars now, you think about that many suns are there. Think about then that many planets will be there. So think about how many people are there, which we do not know. But we claim ourselves as the most intelligent animal on the planet. Correct? But Anna, there would be people, there could be, there should be. Without this, there is no meaning. Anna, that is why we are searching. Okay. So, but now come to this point. So solar system happens. In the solar system is composed of this only, right? That is, these elements are thrown away. What happens is that in the solar system, these elements compose into what is called as sun, planets. So, yeah, like this. This is our solar system. This was formed in 4.5 billion years. So, yeah. Here I want to talk about an analogy that, a scientist gave. Nigel Carter, he gave this analogy. He says that, the 46, 4.6, you take 4.6 as 46 years. He has given this analogy. You consider the age of the earth as 46 years, 4.6 billion. So when do you think that life started on earth? In the 46 years ago. You got this? I am going to talk about how the life came and things like that. 4.6 there is formation of all these planets and earth. Now what I am asking is that this fellow says, or the scientist says, earth or the analogy, you take it as 46 years. So you consider as an age. So I am asking, when would the life started on earth? For 30 life begins at 2018. 18 when did earth's life begin? எப்போ இருந்திருக்கலாம் 10 வயசுல 12 வயசுல அஜித் ஒரு படத்துல ஒன்னு சொல்றாரு தெரியுமா மங்காத்தால life begins at அது ஏன் அவரு சொன்னாருன்னு தெரியல actually it's a true fact the life on earth I'm going to tell the story you will understand life on earth till 42 years like so many people fear I have to settle down now earth settle avla earth settled at 42 years true அதாவது first life or important multicellular life came அதெல்லாம் unicellular the multicellular things started coming in 42 when we came ஒரு idea இதுங்க homo sapiens the analogy he gives is that 46 years, if you consider my age as an earth, we came 4 hours ago. 4 hours ago, we have come. Okay? Jesus or Moses came or 45 minutes before. இப்பதான் அவரு வந்து பாவம் வந்து எல்லாம் நல்லா இருக்கணும்னு வாழ்த்திட்டு போயிருக்காரு. ஓகேவா? Industrial revolution, which has enabled us to do all these things, came 4 seconds ago. இவ்வளவுதான் நடந்திருக்கு. அதுக்குள்ள நம்ம வந்து உலகத்தையே இப்போ அழிக்கிற ரேஞ்சுக்கு இந்த ட்ரம்ப் இன்னும் ஜெயிச்சிட்டானா ஜெயிக்கலையா தெரியல எனக்கு. இப்ப அவன்லாம் ஜெயிச்சா கொண்டுருவான். பாயிண்ட் என்னன்னா, the earth that we are in is actually large. Today we feel எனக்கு நிறைய this is how I understood life. When I could not clear in the sense on the I wrote all this 8 mains. I kept repeating all these things one after the another. So I was like, all these years போச்சு. எர்த்தே இவ்வளவு நாள் சும்மா தான் இருந்துச்சு. கரெக்டா இல்லையா? ஏன் செட்டில் ஆகல? So one more thing is that one of my closest friend, school friend, he is getting married today. So போவானா தெரியல, எனக்கு அவனுக்கு சண்டே ஆயிடுச்சு. closest friend, பட் ஆனா நல்லா இருக்கணும்ல. See, you will have your point. You know, students fear this fact. நான் உள்ள போயிடுறேன், கொஞ்சம் philosophy போயிடுவேன். See, my class will be both now. So it will be GS4 and anthropology and GS, everything will be clubbed together. இது GS. இப்போ நான் சொல்றது GS. Point என்னன்னா, all these things I did not, you know, many of them look for all these answers in self-help books. I'm a very staunch believer that அது அவங்க ஏமாத்துறானுங்க. கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா செல்ஃப் ஹெல்ப் புக்? இந்த எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு பல பேர் அதை படிச்சிருப்பீங்க. ஐம் வெரி சாரி, நான் வந்து உங்களை காயப்படுத்தினதுக்கு சொல்லல. பட் ஆனா பீப்புள் லுக் ஃபார் ஆன்சர்ஸ் இன் செல்ஃப் ஹெல்ப் புக். இந்த இன்ஸ்டாகிராம்ல இப்போ இந்த மாதிரி உட்காந்துட்டு அது ஏங்க இங்க உட்காந்து பேசுறாங்க பாத்திருக்கீங்களா? அதாவது கேமராவை இப்படி பேச மாட்டாங்க, அது ஏன் இங்க பேசுறாங்க எனக்கு தெரியல. எனக்கு இல்ல இப்படி கேமரா பார்த்து, இப்போ ரஜினிகாந்த் எல்லாம் இந்த சென்டென்ஸ் எல்லாம் இப்படி பார்த்து தான் சொல்றாரு. அதாவது நம்மளுக்கு எல்லாம் டிஃப்ரெண்டா ஏதோ பண்ணணும்னு. பட் ஆனா why do you have, see, அத கீழ கமெண்ட் எல்லாம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா, என் கண்ணையே திறந்துட்டீங்க, இவ்வளவு நாள் கண்ணை மூடியா வச்சிருந்த நீ, ஏன்டா கண்ணை மூடி வச்சிருந்த? See, the answer to your question is in evolution, is in everything that you see. The answers are there. We don't look at the world the way it has to be. We think that, you know, அவ்வளவுதான், ஐயோ நடக்கல நடக்கும். See, அர்த்தே பொறுமையா பாருங்க, 4 செகண்ட் தான் ஆயிருக்கு இண்டஸ்ட்ரியல் ரெவல்யூஷன். 4 செகண்ட் தான். அப்ப இண்டிபெண்டன்ஸ் எவ்வளவு இருக்குன்னு பாருங்க, 1 செகண்ட் இருக்கும். So we have, you know, as a country have to go very long distance. This is the analogy Nigel Carter gives. Now we will talk about, see, இதுல it came la, this is third or fourth ஆங்க, இது மறந்து, எர்த் வந்து third இல்ல. So Mars comes after that la. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Okay. Pluto, now they don't consider as, you know, as a group one question. But now I'm going to take this. So what is this geophysoid? It's not a sphere, it's a geoid in solvanga. Yeah. But now you leave that. But my question is, what is this composed of? What is this composed of? All the remnants of a star which was thrown out in the universe now have accumulated or accretion. It is the word they use is planetesimals, accretion. They slowly form into planets. That is the planet that we are in. So this is the star, which is the sun, where the fusion is happening. This is the point that, you know, we are in. But when it was formed, now a little bit geography. When it was formed, it was not, you know, like the temperature which is here. It was very, very hot. It was more than 1500 degree centigrade, you know. See, at that point, that is the melting point of, you know, all these solids. Everything, every element, every compound will melt. So this was a melt. You imagine a, you know, universe where it is melting Columb is sitting, you know. What happens at that point is that some other planetesimal is some other accreted body. They've named it as Thea. Thea na, the Greek god something. That planetesimal hits this point. See, bullet, if you start hitting na, that is friction. It will heat more. Already heat is more. When you hit with this kind of a body, more melting happens. And one more thing is that a part of it will be thrown off like this. You get this true idea. What happens after the formation is that in the line it did not come. One point there was a hitting collision happened between some, it's called as TR. What happened after that was, that's when you started having a friend called as moon. Sun satellite, okay. It's a satellite, natural satellite. Moon came, that's how, you know, moon or a composite. See how you எப்படி சொல்ற அப்படின்னு கேட்டா, இந்த பாரிசாலன் ஒருத்தர் இருப்பான், யூடியூப் பார்த்திருக்கீங்களா? பாரிசாலன் ஒருத்தர் இருப்பான், அடிச்சு விட்டுக்கிட்டே இருப்பான். அந்த மாதிரி இல்ல, scientists have found materials. Apollo போனாங்கல்ல, Apollo, they went there, they have, you know, seen all the material which is there composed of all the moon stuff, and they come to a conclusion that it is part of us. Very simple. ஜெயம் ரவி கூட போயிருக்காருன்னு நினைக்கிறாங்க. But the point is that, அது என்ன படங்க அது? டிக் டிக் மிருதம் இல்லையா? ஓ, அது வந்து ஜாம்பி இல்ல. ஓகே, அதான் நல்ல படம், நல்ல எனக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிச்ச ஆக்டர். But now one more thing happened. This is where, for example, so Earth is tilted. Earth is not straight. This time the question was based on that. June 21, or how the seasons are formed. Seasons cannot happen if there is no tilt. The geography, and the tilt, when it is there, that's how one part will be closer to the sun, one part will be away from the sun. Then the, you know, then equal varo. Then again, this geography NCERT la irukku. This tilt came because of this hit. But point is that slowly these two, you know, fellows started forming. And what happens after this is that this is where you start forming. See, after that cooling happens. Or a point kaprom, if there is no, you know, what to say, more energy to you, you'll start losing energy. And the losing energy stuff is that you start cooling yourself. It's very simple. So you go to the heat, you come back, you start losing your energy through radiation. You know, you sit here, அப்படியே பாடியில இருந்து ரேடியேட் ஆகும் பாத்தீங்களா? Same way Earth will start radiating energy. When it cools, same elements composed of this. What will the heavier things do? It's a molten lava. It's like a lava da. Yeah, lava. What will the heavier elements like iron, nickel solidify? After it solidifies, it will go down. So, see, it's a liquid molten. As you said, when it starts losing energy, it will solidify. Once it solidifies, it becomes heavy. Once it becomes heavy, it will start depositing itself as Nifi, which is called as nickel, okay? Core. Plate tectonics. Geography, plate tectonics. Earth is composed of three things. One is the top layer, which is called as the crust. This is the mantle. Okay, this mantle is the largest volume. Please check all this in geography. Okay, very important, very important. But Anna, how this was formed is that this was formed because of this, solidification of all these. See, elements are formed, all this in star. It is thrown away. You think about it. Those things compact together in a planet. So it is, very hot. When it is hot, everything is in a liquid state. Once it starts cooling, the heavier things will start solidifying. Once it solidifies, it will start going deep inside, and the lighter materials will be left in the crust. That's why you have Cl here. Cl is silicon. Then you have Sima. Then you have this Nifi. Okay, wow. So after this, see, after this, again, it's plate tech. This geography I have explained. Okay, so I'm not going to deep. Deep no. After this, what happens is that two types of crusts are formed based on the plate margins. Geography class I have explained. See, this so two types will be formed. One is an heavier basaltic ocean crust. Heavier, அது heavy. Basaltic ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. Oceanic crust. The second is granitic lightweight continental crust. Please check all these things in GC Glion. Very, very important. Okay, very, very important for preliminary examination, mains examination. You need to know doubts. Maybe the geography, I'll tell you later. Yeah. This basaltic, see, basaltic oceanic crust, when it starts forming in the continental granite is lighter. Why lighter? Go and check. Yeah, why lighter? Why basaltic lava is heavier? Upon heavy things, what will happen is that it will, come like this. This is continent. This is ocean. So, and the water in our planet, there are so many theories. The water in our planet is supposed to have come from some meteorite strike. Something, it was not present here. And the water, when it came, other theory, so many theories, we'll leave that. But another point, an environment or an ecosystem like this is formed. That is, you start having the basic fundamental elements composed into correct element. What are compounds or minerals? Now they are, addition of elements. You add 2-3 elements together, you have a compound or a mineral. If you have a mineral like iron ore, iron ore is Fe2O3, FeO, iron oxide. Same way you have different types of minerals. How this happens now? Because of the formation of these things, the elements which were part of fundamental units of your composition start clubbing together and forming as minerals. What happens after this? What happens after this is that either 4.5 billion, everything is happening. 4 billion, slowly everything is happening. Around or see, and one more thing is that it's an approximation. Yeah, so the exact number I am not saying. Exact number I have to say in class. Okay? Or approximate story. Around some 3.8 billion years, what happens is that the first or what to say in this okay, in this environment, what was the air in Pagano? The air was composed of no oxygen. No oxygen. 12th standard biology book, please check. This is a question in prelims 2 times. 2018 question, the earth initially had a 50% oxygen. No, earth did not start with oxygen. The earth composed of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, methane. The mutta aluvi pochuna or smell irukum. So something like, the air used to smell like that. No oxygen was there, pungent smell, something like that. So you think about it, the composition is this. So in that environment, what happens is that somewhere it's called as hypothermal vent in solranga. Okay, somewhere in this area, okay, in the seas, what happens is that or vent, it's like or cone madi. And the cone will be so, and the region will be so acidic. சரிங்களா? அசிடிக்கா இருக்கும்போது what happens is that because of this in the acidic composition and things, they say that scientists say that all these elements fused into fundamental units of life. Fundamental units of life are nothing but amino acid. Have you heard? What is an amino acid composed of? Protein composed of amino acids. I am asking things which are, last. So amino acid or structure, what is it composed of? Amino acid இருக்குல்ல, what element it is composed of? கூகுள் கூட பண்ணி பார்க்கலாம். சும்மா கூகுள் பண்ணி பாருங்க, நீங்களே பாருங்க. பாருங்க. ஓ, மொபைல்ல உள்ள வச்சிட்டீங்களா? பரவாயில்ல. இல்ல, நான் சரி, இதுல கூகுள் பண்ணிடலாம், இருங்க. அது நானே உங்க கையில மொபைல் இதுல கூகுள் பண்ணிடலாம். ஓகேவா? What they are saying is that the elements which were there on the hypothermal vent, in the class I will tell you, it's a magical story. How it is formed என்றது, it's a magical story. Amino acid structure. Okay. Oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen. அதுக்கப்புறம் இது வந்து I think it's a ribose sugar or something. It's an carbon. That is all the fundamental elements which I spoke about, which were formed in the stars, which had grouped in the planet as continents, started forming into self-replicating molecules called as என்னங்க இது போர்டு இல்ல, நானும் திரும்பி போர்டுல molecules called as amino acids. See, that is fundamental unit. ஒரே நிமிஷம். These amino acid, the formation process is contested. There are so many theories. I'm not going to go into the theory. That's not in a syllabus also, and it's over and above. It's very அது ரொம்ப அது பயங்கரமா இருக்கும். Okay, we don't have to. But now what happens is that amino acid forms. Once amino acid starts forming, you will start forming what is called as protein, which is every one of us is made of. Without this, there is nothing called as a living. இப்போ first point பாருங்க. Life has to sustain itself. For that, the fundamental particle is protein. Without that, you cannot sustain yourself. You have to feed yourself. Without that, no. Correct? In the next இது ரெண்டு பாத்துக்கோங்க, protect and propagate. சரியா? Now you see it here. Okay, so protein. Once the proteins are formed, I have to have some coding mechanism, or because this cannot generate any, information for propagating itself, but our bodies can do it through DNA. Same way on the universe, first, or in our earth, it started that first point was ribonucleic acid. அதாவது I have started making proteins னு வெச்சுப்போம். Okay, I have started making fundamental elements னு வெச்சுப்போம். I have to pass on that information in order for you to do the, you should not do from a scratch. You have to start from where I left. புரியுதா? So அப்போ அந்த next molecule which is, coming is RNA. But RNA is not stable. RNA is that viruses are made of RNA. So it's not stable. Next molecule forms, which is DNA. All this, if you see the composition, DNA or composition, you check it, it's nothing but phosphorus, nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, something like that. All the fundamental units which these are composed of were starting to make themselves into an aligned molecule for propagating themselves. Second, adula pathina sustain propagation இருக்கும். And the propagation, how they started doing means, they started doing with the information which is, coded in these things. Now you see it here. Now what happens is that these elements are, formed. Appo first point on the
there were, or a small protective layer தான். That's what we call today a cell. And the small protective layer forms, it's a lipid layer, na lipid na fat, nothing but fat. See, the protein same composed of something. You start having a zone, for you, and you start sustaining yourself, you start propagating yourself. That is, these are the people who are our true ancestors. This is called as last common ancestor. Everything that you see, you can, I think on the last class I asked, trees ku namluku enna sambandham appadina I asked that. Okay, trees ku are we connected with trees or related to trees? இப்போ உங்களோட ரிலேஷன் கேட்டா நீங்க சொல்லுங்க ஊர்ல இருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவீங்க. My question is, are we related to trees? Rats, snakes, fish, வேற ஏதாவது சொல்லுங்க. Everything has started from here. Every one of us, every living being, common ancestor is this point. This is called the last common ancestor, which was nothing but a single cell composed of all these, self-propagating DNA, which helped, or in the process of generation, they started using all these molecules. Today, your cell, what they do? இப்போ நம்ம உட்கார்ந்துருக்கோம்ல, இப்போ நான் பேசுறேன், உட்கார்ந்துருக்கேன். What is my cell doing? How am I able to speak? எதுங்க? Replicating ஆகுது. I'm producing, amino acids, proteins. I have to talk. Energy veno, burn energy, things like that. Same is the case with this. This is also same as you. You are just a mere reflection of this. Now what happens is that, but now it is called as anaerobic. These cells were anaerobic, means because there was no oxygen. Aerobic na in the presence of oxygen. In the atmosphere there was no oxygen. Adha solren, first starting la carbon dioxide, methane and nitrogen and stuff like that. So you don't have oxygen, but you need energy la. So I need what is called as the ATP molecule. Idu kelli pattirukeenga? See, all this is not in the syllabus, don't worry. Idu vandu I am just giving you this sense, because when I come to primates, ஓகேவா, பிரைமேட் எங்க இருந்து வந்தாங்கன்னு தெரியணும்ல. இப்ப பிரைமேட்ஸ்ல இருந்து ஐம் கோயிங் டு ஸ்டார்ட். சார் குரங்குல இருந்து மனுஷன் குரங்குல இருந்து வந்தா, குரங்கு எதுல இருந்து வந்துச்சுன்னு தெரியணும்ல. So I'm just giving you a prelude for today. Okay, next class la we'll, because I'm going to say the chapter, you're going to read and come, then we'll start. சரியா? So anaerobic ATP molecule, it's called as adenosine triphosphate. You know what is it composed of? Protein. Okay, illa protein illa, but it is composed of which element nu kekran? Phosphorus, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, oxygen, hydrogen. See, and this vary ஆகும், CH4 அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது சொல்லுவாங்க. But you look at the fundamental units of everything in this world. Sugar, C, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. You can take anything you want which is relevant to, animals or living beings. It will be composed of all these fundamental units. These fundamental units started, forming into a self-propagating unit. Ana anaerobic. இல்ல, அதாவது காம்போசிஷன் இருக்கு. We have today 21%. இல்ல அதுல, அதாவது composition to the extent நான் சொல்றேன், element இருந்திருக்கும். You get this, element is there. But see, because all the fundamental elements இருக்குல்ல, I'm saying இப்போ வந்து today, for example, nitrogen is 75%, oxygen is 21%, not to the extent there. இப்போ without that you cannot live as you are living today. So what you do is that you take up anaerobic respiration. That is, I have to have the energy, ATP generate பண்ணனும், but no oxygen is there. So I take up a formation or a manufacturing way which is called as anaerobic. Anaerobic, do we use anaerobic respiration? Do you know that? இல்லையா? யோசிச்சு சொல்லுங்க. We use aerobic respiration. That is, oxygen is there. Do we have anaerobic respiration? இல்ல, அதாவது do we generate energy without using oxygen at any point. குழந்தை பிறக்கும்போது எக்ஸசைஸ் பண்ண மாட்டீங்களா? இந்த ஜிம்முக்கு போனா சொல்றாங்களே, you have to stretch and things like that. That's because you will start generating what is called as the lactic acid, which comes as a byproduct of anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, when it is there, you are having healthy things, you will be energetic and things like that. But once you start, lose, because see how much oxygen can be pumped in. Once that stops, but you will be working out. Something has to be done. That's why your muscles cramp. கரெக்டாங்களா? அந்த cramp stop பண்றதுக்கு தான் you will be relaxed விடுங்க. You will be relaxed, you pump in oxygen. Same way the method was started then only. So anaerobic respiration. But after this, see, I'm going to start now. If a point enna, after this came say everything was happy and things like that. After this came something called as cyanobacteria. See, in the idella konjam it will be looking like you hear it as a story. சரியா? Cyanobacteria is blue green algae ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, but it's not an algae, it's a bacteria. In the cyanobacteria is where this point of photosynthesis started. So today we have this photosynthesis, which is the most important component of anything in this world, because sun, as I said, இது இருக்கா, sun இருக்கு. Okay, it gives out the energy. How do we trap that energy? If a sun is pushing out the fusion energy, why do we worship? அது தெரியாதா? Sun ஏன் worship பண்றோம்? You take whichever religion, which is the most prominent god? Sun god. Karnan வந்து யாரோட பையன் தெரியுமா? சூரிய பகவான் பையன். Most of the religions of this world will worship sun. Why? Because without sun we are not there. Because the energy which is generated in the fusion reaction comes to you how? Through photosynthesis which happened. How it is now? So they will use the carbon dioxide which is there in the air. Here carbon dioxide, sunlight. இப்போ என்ன byproduct என்ன வரும்? Sunlight. Do you know that? Water also. Starch and oxygen. Starch is nothing but sugar, which we live on. Without that, you won't live. You cannot self-propagate yourself. You cannot sustain yourself. So a methodology is devised where the sun is trapping all, or this point is trapping all the energy, and oxygen is released. This is where you start having all the oxygen pumped into the air. This is the start. This happens around 1.8 billion to 800 million years. This is where you pump in all that energy. சரியா? What happens because of this pumping is that this is earth. சரியா? There is a protective layer which is there, which is called as ozone. இதுல you see it again. It has to sustain itself, it has to propagate itself, it has to protect itself. And the protection, how it happens na, see, a cell is formed, all these things are formed. If I don't protect my cell, the UV ray which comes from the sun will affect the cell. All the things which I have devised, RNA, DNA, தெரியும்ல, அதனால தான் see UV rays, cancer என்னது? Mutation, what is the meaning of mutation is that your DNA is impacted. Once your DNA is impacted, your cell ruptures. It grows without any limit. This is cancer. The cell does not lose its, see, if a point on a cell is correctly matched to each other. Once it loses all this ability, it will start mutating. Okay, that's cancer. But how that is prevented now? Because of the oxygen. It was not there initially. So these things which were there in the minuscule microorganism started pumping all this oxygen. This is what happens by ozone. சரியா? அப்புறம் sugar, everything starts. சரியா? Now what happens? இப்போ நீங்க பார்க்கணும், இது வந்து எந்த டைம் பாருங்க. See, till now I have not spoken about anything related to plants, trees, animals, nothing. Nearly 4 billion years are over. That is 40 years over. In the 40 years la basic fundamental planning has been done. வடிவேல் சொன்ன மாதிரி பிளான் தான், ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பிளான். இதுதான் யூபிஎஸ்சிலும் I keep repeating. எடுத்த உடனே everybody wants to write answer writing. Everybody first எடுத்த உடனே IAS. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் படிக்கணும், ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பாலிட்டி, ஜியாகிரபி. இத படிக்காம நான் நேர கரண்ட் அஃபேர்ஸ் பாக்குறேன். முதல்ல ஜியாகிரபி படி சார். அதெல்லாம் இப்ப நான் சொன்னல பசால்டிக் லாவா கிரானைட்டிக் லாவா, எவ்வளவு இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் கொஸ்டின். டு யூ நோ தட்? we don't read that. இப்ப நான் கொஸ்டின் அன்னைக்கு கேட்டேன் தெரியுமா? do we read for example ஈரானுக்கும் இஸ்ரேலுக்கும் வாட் சண்டை? சார் கரண்ட் அஃபேர். ஆமா சார், அவர் கரண்ட் அஃபேர் சூப்பர் சூப்பர் சார். பசால்டிக் லாவாக்கும் கிரானைட்டிக் லாவாக்கும் தான் கொஸ்டின் they will ask. You know, that question we have to answer. What is the difference? Why this is lighter? Why this is denser? Many important things are there. This is where we are losing out in UPSC, but this is where, you know, Earth started forming its own thing. But Anna, idhula one more thing is there, but I don't want to go there, but I just want to tell you that there is an eukaryote and prokaryote. Prokaryote is an older version. Eukaryote is, you know, you having nucleus. Idhula oru fundamental point enna, there adds a mitochondria. Mitochondria, have you heard? Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. This is where ATP is generated in your body. Adhaadu currency, energy currency is generated into your body in this point. Somewhere before here, the single celled microorganisms which were there started having this concept of symbiosis. Symbiosis na, you help me, I will help you. அப்ப ஒரு பாயிண்ட்ல one bacteria said, I will protect you. You generate what is called as energy. This was a symbiotic relation. Two bacteria. இப்போ the mitochondria which is there in your cell also has a DNA. இப்போ உங்க செல்லுல மட்டும் DNA இல்ல, mitochondria's DNA இருக்கு. That is because it was an individual organism on its own. That is, it was a separate bacteria. இந்த ரெண்டு பாக்டீரியாவும் they said, you know, நம்ம ரெண்டு பேரும் சேர்ந்து இருக்கலாம். When we are separate, you know, nothing will happen. When you come together, we will have this development which is very much easier. So what happened was they made a pact. So they இப்போதான் eukaryote cell வரும். So prokaryote ல இருந்து eukaryote cell வரும். You are having the fundamental protection now. See, if you form this without this, useless. புரியுதா? If you form this without this, useless. ஏன்னா UV ray பொடக்குன்னு அடிச்சிரும். I have to have இதெல்லாம் எப்படி எல்லாம் சேர்ந்து simultaneously it will happen. It's the magic of life. See, first it has to have the cyanobacteria which has to generate the oxygen. But Anna, you also have to equip yourself to become what is, you know, called as the cell. You do that. இது நடக்குது. இப்போ என்ன ஆகுதுன்னா, this is what happens 500 million years. Okay, 500 million years la, have you heard about, this time there was a question, parasitoid, I think. Did you see that question? Parasitoid, which of the following is a parasitoid? Wasp, centipede, something like that. No, they gave 5 options. முடிச்சலாம் முடிச்சிட்டு அப்படியே எதுங்க பிரேக். so ஒரு 5 minutesல we'll have a break and then we'll continue. சரியா? but have you seen that question? Maybe after the break I'll show you the question. It is related. இப்போ centipede, millipede, அதுல வந்து they have given as centipede or something like that. What is a centipede? சும்மா centipede-னா நீங்க பாத்திருக்கீங்களா? centipede எங்க பாத்திருக்கீங்க? போட்டோல இதுங்க கரையா சென்டிபீடு. இந்த அது மில்லிபீடு. அது மில்லிபீட் சென்டிபீட். பட் ஆனா ரெண்டுமே சேம். இந்த ஒரு மாதிரி இப்படி ஓடும் பாத்துறீங்களா? இந்த see, ஆனா ஐ திங்க் இப்போ அது இல்ல. When I was in school, I used to see it'll, அப்படியே சுருண்டுரும். Now it's vanishing. I think because of all this, urbanization, it's vanishing. But there used to be a time when I used to see it all the time. அதை வந்து வச்சு வச்சு விளையாடிட்டு இருப்போம். அது it has all this legs. அப்படியே இப்படி போயிட்டே இருக்கும், that species, their ancestors developed. That's the first point. They are called as invertebrates. They are invertebrates. That is, this is the backbone vertebra. Okay, vertebra is it. Anyone with a vertebra is a vertebrate. They don't have this vertebrate. They have this body, as an or another other difference irukku. On the Puranla, it's a millipede, something like that. Are based on the number of legs, number of body parts. See everything. That's leech. Okay. இல்ல நான் சொல்றது இல்ல அது பேர் நான் எனக்கு ஞாபகம் இல்ல. See நான் வேணா after the break I will show you the picture. Okay? That's what they asked as a question. It feeds on plants. It is not a parasitoid. எப்படி இதெல்லாம் கேட்டாங்கன்னு எனக்கு தெரியாது. But you don't have to answer. அதை leave அவ்வளவுதான் விட்டுருங்க. But at least you should know that centipede. அதுல centipede னு they've asked. Centipede it's an invertebrate. It was started at the time of, see, till now there is no formation. Cell irukku. That cell is there, mitochondria is there, everything is ready. But it is not forming into anything which we see as multicellular. Single cell you cannot see. Multicellular da you cannot see. You can see. If a point in the invertebrates multicellular. Now protection is there. Once you give the protection, then only you start building yourself. See, I'll give a break from this. We'll take break and then we'll start. For example, na solren. Have you seen land reforms? Idu vechittu we'll take a break. Apra na vandu I'll explain that. Land reforms. Idha na sonna. See, I understand everything not through whatever thing that we see in all this self-help book. I see it through evolution. Independence ku munnadi there was a point of colonialism and these people had zamindari system. Seriya? What was the reason that they said that agriculture did not develop? முடிச்சிட்டாங்களா இன்னொன்னு? ஐயோ அது நான் தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறேன். லேண்ட் ரிஃபார்ம்ஸ் முடிச்சிட்டாங்க இல்ல முடிச்சிருப்பாங்க இல்ல வந்துட்டாங்களா இல்ல ஆனா கிளாஸ்ல சொல்லிருப்பாங்கல லேண்ட் ரிஃபார்ம்ஸ் happened, there was a colonialism which was there. Okay, three things are tenancy reforms, size reform, and you had this protection of farmers. 3-4 things are there. Okay, collectivization and many things are there. But that is land reforms. I'm asking the meaning of that, which was because of colonialism. The zamindars which were there or the Britishers which were there, these people did not develop agriculture that much because they had this thought that anyways everything is going to go there. இப்ப நான் why do I beautify my house? இப்ப வாடகை வீட்ல இருக்கங்க, வாடகை வீட்ல வரைஞ்சு வரைஞ்சு வைப்பீங்களா? Why do you not do that? ஆனா சேம் தான், சேம் பிளேஸ். Why do you not do that? இல்ல இல்ல அவனுக்காக அப்படி கிடையாது. You have to have the sense of connection. People centric governance today, they say, what is the meaning of a people centric governance na? How much ever I give you, Swachh Bharat bathroom, if you are not a person in a Panchayat Raj protecting that and making people use, that will not work. Collector ethana bathroom danga katradhu? You get this idea? This is human centric, people centric approach. This is governance. But now come here, the point is that till if I get no assurance that my cell is not protected, I will not build my cell. My assurance should be nothing will happen, nothing will penetrate your cell, you please propagate. So I give this assurance through this ozone layer. What happens after this is that then only I start multicellular organism. And the multicellular organism first try was invertebrates. Evolution is an a combination of different tries. It's not like evolution knew this is the path we have to go. Straight to human beings we need to go. No. It was a trial and trial and error. Trial and error different combination will be checked. Some combination will not work out. So many combinations will not work out. But what combination works out, we have to move forward. And the first combination that they tried was invertebrate. Idhila I will tell you one thing because it's very useful for you. Coral reefs, have you heard? This is the start. And the coral reefs na coral polyps. Adukulla pathingana polyps. See, the white color have you seen? It's not the organism. It's not the organism. Organism is inside. Adula vandu coral polyp. It's like a worm madi irukum. You know, it is surrounded by calcium carbonate. Correct? So, but ana it was the invertebrate. Many things were formed. So, idhula example na kuduthurren. Insects, the centipede, millipede, mollusk. Have you heard mollusk? Mollusk snail. Okay. அதாவது இந்த என்னத்தையும் திம்பானுங்க, இந்த கிளாம் இதெல்லாம் திம்பான். இந்த ஆஸ்திரேலியா குக் வித் ஆஸ்திரேலியாவோ, ஐயோ குக் வித் கோமாளி இல்ல, அங்க ஒண்ணு நடக்கும் மாஸ்டர் ஷெஃப். அதுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா they will be cooking all this clam, அந்த மாதிரி தான் they will, you know, அது வந்து mollusk. ஆயிஸ்டர், அதையும் திம்பானுங்க. இப்போ ஆயிஸ்டர், இந்த மிஸ்டர் பீன் வந்து இது வச்சு ஷெல் இருக்கும்ல, ஷெல் அதான் ஆயிஸ்டர். All these animals are பாருங்க invertebrates, that they don't have this இது. They have the shell, protective shell இருக்கு, ஆனா they don't have this kind of a vertebrate. சரியா? It's a try many. இதுல வந்து so many is there. They try different combination, different thing. This is where crustacean ஒன்னு வருது. Crustacean, do you know? Crab, crustacean. லாஸ்டா இதை முடிச்சிடுறேன். என்விரான்மெண்ட்ல ஒன்ஸ் தே ஆஸ்க்ட் 2014, I think 14 prelims question. They gave 4 things and asked to pick the one which is not relevant to the 4 things. One was mite, spider, scorpion, crab. புரியுதா நான் சொல்றது? pick the odd person out. mite na இது இந்த பேன். சரியா? ஸ்பைடர், ஸ்கார்பியன், கிராப். இதுல ஆட் பர்சன் வந்து கிராப். சத்தியமா ஏன் அப்படின்னா crustaceans, this is lobster and crab. Spider and spider, இது வந்து separate. It's a separate thing. Why they asked this question? It's basically a classification of invertebrates. இது வந்து important prelims environment question. So எல்லாத்தையும் சேர்த்து தான். Okay, we'll take a break. See, you have to understand. See, இப்போ coral reefs எங்க இருந்து வந்துச்சுனே தெரியாது. This is the part